The National Farmers Union is a membership-based national organization for the collective voices of Canadian farmers working together to fight for agroecology, food sovereignty, and economic dignity for farmers. Farmers are our membership, but non-farmers are also invited to join as associate members. Together, we're working to build a farm and food system that works for all of us as people. If you're joining us today and throughout convention as a visitor, I'd like to welcome you as well and mention that we're always happy to accept new farm members and associate members. Next slide, thank you. I would like to acknowledge that our participants and audience are joining us from across the traditional lands of many Indigenous nations. I would encourage you to include what Indigenous lands you are joining us from in the chat. I am zooming in from unceded Algonquin territory. The NFU recognizes that Canada is a settler colonial country and that Indigenous and non-Indigenous farmers share common ground as people who are on the land and who feed our communities. For our opening greeting, I thought you would be interested to know that Minister of Agriculture, Marie-Claude Bibeau, sends her regrets, but has set up 2 opportunities to meet with and talk to the NFU about climate change and agriculture in the new year. Meanwhile, although we were slightly disappointed she could not join us, we are very happy to share a warm welcome from American novelist, poet, essayist, environmental activist, cultural critic, and farmer, Wendell Berry. Mr. Berry writes, "Dear friends of the National Farmers Union, your executive director, Mara Shaw, has asked if I would write to you to offer my sympathy and support. As an incentive, she offered her belief that you would like to hear from me. If that is true, I am greatly honored, for she has told me of your work, your commitment, and your aims, and you most certainly are honored by her praise of you. I am glad to write to you, not only because I have been so kindly invited, but also because I need to thank you for the happiness I take from your existence and your determination. We aren't quitting," Ms. Shaw told me in her letter, and that is her best possible news. I am not quitting either. I have children and grandchildren and younger neighbors here who are committed to our effort, which here as there and all over the world is absolutely necessary. I have not visited Canada for many years, but I believe from what I read and hear that the struggle for sane husbandry of the land is more advanced in Canada than in the United States. Your adoption of the principle of supply management, for example, is a very large step in the right direction. Farmers and farmland in the United States continue to be destroyed by surplus production. But I do not believe that farmers and farmland anywhere can thrive under the rule of the industrial economy, the principles and the ethics of which are entirely opposed to the health both of the natural world and of the economies of farming, ranching, and forestry. All of the ills and evils of industrial agriculture in this country can be traced to 2 great falsehoods that were adopted as agricultural policy after World War II. First, that we had too many farmers, and second, that the too many farmers could be adequately replaced as producers and caretakers by industrial technology. The result has been tragedy for both the land and the people. For more than half a century, I have been fairly active in opposing and trying to remedy that result. And so I may have learned all anybody needs to know about discouragement, but I have also learned the reasons not to quit. Here are some of mine, which I suspect are the same as some of yours. Number 1, it is a joy, even in defeat, to know what is right and to be on the side of the right. Number 2, our great cause is old in history and practice. To learn the history of good land husbandry, to study its principles, and then to apply them at home, that is a sustaining interest. It can enliven one's whole life. Number 3, I have cherished, learned from, and greatly enjoyed the friends with whom I have shared the need and the effort to respond appropriately to the good gift of life in this world. And 4, because of those friends, my abiding interest in our cause, my liking for the countryside and the people who belong to it, I have more often than not been having a good time. I once wrote a piece entitled, "It All Turns on Affection." It surely does, but I'm equally sure that it all turns on pleasure. I don't think we can last for very long if we're not having fun. I'll stop with that. Of course, I'm wishing you well with all my heart. Your friend, Wendell Berry.